With Asuga Fest just around the corner, and especially with the second anniversary in less than a month, I'm sure a lot of people are thinking about starting new accounts and re-rolling. Whether you're a veteran of the game or brand new to One Piece Treasure Cruise, I hope this little guide will help you through the beginning of the game, getting you to higher levels and start doing those fortnights and raids. So to start off with, we'll talk about re-rolling. So when you first start an account on One Piece Treasure Cruise, they give you 2 free rare recruit pools. Now by re-rolling, we're essentially just doing these 2 pools over and over again until you get the characters that you want. And to take full advantage of this, doing it during Asuga Fest would allow you to get legend characters, which are the most powerful characters in the game. Now keep in mind, this game is very free to play friendly in my opinion. You don't need legends to really clear everything in the game. So if you want to and you just want to start when there isn't a Asuga Fest, that's fine. There's a couple characters that are very strong and can be considered on the level of legends, such as Gear 3 Luffy. However, if you want the biggest help at the beginning of the game, re-rolling during Asuga Fest for legends is obviously the most powerful way to start off. Now the longest way, and the way you would have to do it if you sadly don't have a rooted device, is to just uninstall the game every time you don't get the characters you want when you re-roll, do the tutorial again, and get the 2 rare recruit pools after you download the data. But if you do have a rooted device, you can just hop over to the Play Store and grab the OPTC re-roller made by Carmelo Foti, I hope I said that right, and it will save you a lot of time. Back in the day, you'd have to manually delete the files and copy it over yourself, and it was just a whole ordeal. Now with this, it's much easier to re-roll. Of course, there are ways to do it on Apple, but sadly I only play on Android, so I really can't help you there. There's probably other guides out there to help you with that. You can just skip this bit if you're not on Android. Once you have this app installed, it's just a matter of clicking on what version of the game you're playing and clicking re-roll. It'll crash the game and you just have to open up again, and hopefully it should have restarted and you'll have your 2 free pools again. Keep in mind, you do have to have a rooted device on Android to do this, otherwise you'll have to be doing the manual way, which really sucks, but you know, what can you do? Now when I said that you only get 2 rare recruit pools every re-roll, that's talking generally during most Asuga Fest. There are times during events such as the Dokkan Battle crossover or the upcoming second anniversary where they give out a lot more gems, which means you can re-roll a lot faster and more efficiently. So if you're patient, you can just wait until an event like that. Hopefully there will be one in the second anniversary next month, where you can get a lot more gems, a lot more pools, and hopefully a lot more legends in your first account. Now what to re-roll for? Now, as I said, pretty much all the legends are really good. They're probably all the best characters in the game. But there are some that are much better to have early on in the game, and there are some that are on the weakest side. So here are 5 legends that I think are really strong to start off with, especially if you're a new player. They're easy to use, rainbow, meaning that you can use pretty much any unit on the team. So you aren't stuck looking for specific classes and typings early on, you just can use pretty much anyone you have. Again, this isn't the best overall legends, these are just guys that I think if you're starting off, especially if you haven't really played this game before, these are really good guys to start with. So first off is Rayleigh, who boosts the chain multiplier by 4. Having no typing or classing restrictions, you can use anyone and you'll do a lot of damage, and early game this guy will just destroy everything for you. And what's especially nice is that you don't really have to evolve him to get the full potential out. He has his full captain ability even when he's unevolved, and since you don't have to evolve him, you get 25 extra crew cost early on to use on whoever you want. Since by boosting the chain multiplier, you'll do very little damage early on, but the last couple hits will do a lot. So it doesn't really matter that he doesn't have his full potential of stats since he's unevolved, as long as you have some heavy hitters at the end of the chain. Another great legend to start off with is Sengoku, who boosts the attack of characters who cost less than 20 and himself by ×3. ×3 is a massive boost, and the only restriction being cost means that early on he's very powerful. He does fall off in the later game since obviously stronger characters will cost more than 20. But early on, it's not a big deal, especially with your crew cost, and he's still very powerful in the late game. It's just a bit more fiddly, since you will be more restricted than other legends. However, he does not boost himself until he is evolved, so he won't do a lot of damage early on himself, but everyone else on the crew will do a ton of damage. Another really strong captain that's easy to use is Cavendish, who boosts himself by ×4 and everyone else who is either Dex, Quick, or Strength by 2.5 times. As you'll find out as you play the game, 2.5 times is a very strong attack boost in most situations. So having a captain that boosts Strength, Quick, and Dex by 2.5 times is really strong to start off with, and then boosting himself by ×4 is just icing on the cake. Cavendish overall isn't the most powerful legend. As you saw with Sengoku, he boosts ×3 to everyone. So just a 2.5 times isn't really legend tier, but he is still very powerful, and his selfish captain ability, which boosts him the most, will be actually pretty useful against enemies with combo or perfect barriers who won't let you do any damage early on, so the 2.5 times will be negated anyway. Another powerful and very easy to use legend is Kizaru. He boosts everyone's attack by ×2, but if you use his special, for that turn he boosts it by ×3 instead, and his special only has a 6 turn cooldown on stage 1 with no skill ups. Obviously just looking at it, ×2 for the majority of the time won't be as powerful as 2.5 or 3, but in reality times 2 will be enough to clear pretty much everything in story and Fortnite early on in the game, and when you're fighting difficult raid bosses or colosseums or whatever, you will most definitely have this special up in time to do your maximum amount of damage. But the number one pick for rerolling has to be Log Luffy. He's probably the best legend early game and late game, dealing a devastating ×4 on the last 3 hits after you've done a good, great and a perfect on a chain. If you're looking for the best of the best, I'd say go for this guy. He'll take a little time to get used to hitting those good, greats and imperfects, but after you've mastered it, he's an absolute beast. You'll be doing tons of damage, and what's nice, you only have to have 3 guys that do actually any damage, since only the last 3 hits will do damage, leaving the other 3 spots for the utilities, or if you just don't have the crew cost, you know, just throw on some boosters and evolvers. Having said all this, again, you can get any legend and it's probably good to start off the game. They're all really strong, so just even if you just want to pick a guy because he's your favourite character, go right ahead. You'll still have a lot of fun playing this game. Now before we go into the rest of the tutorial proper, I would recommend getting a Twitter account. Even if you don't even use Twitter, just make one. It takes like 2 seconds, because you'll be able to collect 5 snails in the game every day, which will give you a random gift that's really useful. It'll give you stamina refills, maybe even gems, but more importantly, cola and maybe turtles. So once you've done your rerolling, what do you actually do when you start the game? So in my opinion, what you should really do is complete story islands up to and including Syrup Village. This will add Luffy, Zoro and Usopp to your crew, who are all very valuable. Fully evolving Luffy and Zoro will give you Gear 2 Luffy and Asura Zoro. They both have really good stats, and Asura Zoro has a very powerful captain ability boosting Dex, his HP and attack by ×2. Usopp has pretty terrible stats, but if you evolve it into his second form, specifically with the most amount of evolution materials, he'll evolve into Golden Pound Usopp, who has probably the most powerful special of a free character, delaying enemies by 3 turns. After completing Syrup Village, you'll also get the Merry-Go. This is hands down the best ship to get early on in the game, as when it's maxed it'll give you a whopping 1.5 times attack boost when using it on your crew. You'll find the cola just running story mode, sometimes from Fortnite, but I think the best way to get it is from the Twitter snails. Here's where I'd recommend stop completing the story mode island, unless you want Sanji, in which case complete Barity as well. But after that I recommend not really going into story mode for a little while and instead just focusing on Fortnites, also known as extra islands. These will be a lot more difficult than the story mode islands that you've been running in beforehand, but they are a lot more stamina efficient. You'll get a lot more experience per stamina you spend. You definitely won't be able to complete the 30 or even 15 stam islands when you start off, so just complete the hardest difficulty you can. Doing this will allow you to get the Fortnite characters, though they will have a low drop rate, so just be patient, as well as leveling up your pirate level as fast as possible and getting skill books, turtles and pigs for EXP for your characters. So when first starting the game, the problem you've probably faced is not having enough crew cost, so just running the Fortnites enough will get your pirate level enough to have all your guys on your team. After that, it'll probably be not having enough experience for your characters. As mentioned before, you can get turtles, pigs and skill books from Fortnites, which will be your primary source of experience points. But there's also turtle times, which is a specific hour in the day where you can run a special island that has one type of turtle, and you can run it as many times as you can in that 1 hour. The time isn't the same every day, you have to look it up for yourself. There's plenty of turtle time calculators out there, just Google it and you'll find it very easily. And there's also choose your own turtle time, which are special events where you get to pick when your turtle time is and you get to run it for 30 minutes. And as mentioned before, you can get turtles and pigs from the Twitter snails. Now onto how to spend your rainbow gems. You'll be getting 1 rainbow gem a day just from logging in, as well as a login bonus on specific dates such as your 30th day of logging in. You'll also get them from completing story mode islands, beating every difficulty of Fortnites, and just a lot of different places in general. You get a lot of rainbow gems just playing the game. Now with regards to box space, I'd say start with 100, which will cost you around 16 gems, and then go from there. I'd say keep around maybe 4 or 5 of each evolution material and sell the rest if you're starting to run out of box space. Box space will be a lot more important later on when you're farming raid bosses in Fortnites, but in the early game you probably won't need too much. Now if you want to get far in the game, the most important use of your gems will be on Fortnites and raids. I wouldn't recommend farming Fortnites until you can at least clear the 30 stams easily, as well as at least having 60 stamina, so every gem will get you at least 2 runs. The Fortnites you'll be needing to farm when there are specifically really strong units in the Fortnite and you need to max their special, or if it has a skill book that you particularly need for your characters. In terms of raid bosses, the first one you really should be farming is Mihawk, who costs 40 stamina, so hopefully you should have maybe 80 stamina when you farm him so that every gem will get you 2 runs again. And once you start hitting those 60 stam raids, hopefully you should be able to have 120 stamina again to have 2 runs per gem. Now for the most fun use of gems, pulls. Please only pull during Sukafest. There's really no reason to pull outside of Sukafests. I mean, do you want legends or not? It's up to your discretion which Sukafest you want to pull during. Obviously you can wait for the gold only Sukafest, but they take a long time to appear. But you can be patient and just, spend your gems wisely. Or you can be like me and pull every Sukafest. And for some random tips and tricks for starting out, I'm sure a lot of people are confused about cotton candies and who to spend them on. My recommendation is, if you have any of the legends I listed, and the majority of most legends, is to give all the attack and HP cotton candies to them. There are some legends that can utilize the RCV cotton candy very well, but for the majority of them, HP and attack are the ones to go for. You should mostly hold on your RCV candy for Enel, since he has a captain ability that will heal you every turn, and is boosted by the amount of RCV candies he has. If you're running out of box space and can't hold all the cotton candies that you have, you can just feed them to a turtle or something and it will hold the cotton candy score and will be transferred once you feed that unit to whoever you want. Now for sockets, that's a lot more debatable. I'm sure everyone has different ideas on what are good sockets for your characters. But as a general rule, if someone only has one socket, I'd say go for cooldown or auto heal. If they have 2 slots, bind and despair resistance are very strong. If they have any more than that, go for the all boosting as well. And it'll depend on the teams you want to build. You don't want to have too much of one socket or power as it's called in the game. But usually avoid poison, defense up, resilience. These really aren't the ones you want to go for. And one last thing is to keep up the amount of friends you have. You probably want to have a lot of friends with the same captain you have. Maybe changing your name to the list of captains you have will be a lot more useful when people are looking for captain friends. And of course you can join communities like Reddit, where they have friend mega threads, and you can share your ID and look for other friends with the same captain as you. And that wraps up my guide to starting and re-rolling an account. I hope that was useful to you. It's not the most extensive guide, but hopefully it'll help some of you out there when you're starting an account. If you have any other tips and tricks that you want to share, put them down in the comments below, help the camera out. Thanks for watching the video. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. If you need more in-depth help with One Piece Treasure Cruise, we have an in-depth tutorial series that you can find on this channel as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, my Nakama!